With the Karaka Million done and dusted, the horse racing calendar is now focused on an even bigger prize, the inaugural NZB Kiwi. There's $4.5 million on the line for just one race, making it one of the country's richest sporting events. As Explainer editor Lloyd Burr discovered, it was dreamed up over a beer at a beach bar after a boring board meeting.
The idyllic setting of Sydney's Coogee Beach is where this story starts. In this building, to be exact, the Crown Plaza Hotel.
We did the formal thing, sat around a boardroom table and talked strategy and all that corporate bullshit.
This is Cameron George, the boss of the Warriors, but back in October 2023, he was also the boss of a somewhat stagnating New Zealand thoroughbred racing.
I was sick and tired of just going from year to year, trying to work out how to survive rather than grow.
But an idea was starting to grow in a setting not too dissimilar to this interview.
We went up and had a few beers, and the more I got my head around it, the more excited I got.
That idea was to create a new horse race spectacle with the most prize money New Zealand has ever seen.
Like, we needed a solid partner, and so I got a few more beers into him and we got a few more dollars out of him, and it started to develop.
That guy is Lachlan Fitt, the money man at global betting company Entain, and growth was his goal too.
How do we bring those audiences through and having the funnel as wide as possible at the top, getting as many people engaged, whether it be once a year, twice a year or every week.
The concept was born, $4.5 million on the line, the race named the Kiwi, but they needed a sponsor.
And New Zealand Bloodstock, they just took 20 seconds to think of them, and I think it took them 20 seconds to respond and say, yeah, it makes sense.
NZB owns the Karaka sales venue, and they particularly like the rule that horses in the NZB Kiwi have to be Kiwi.
The horse either has to be a New Zealand bred horse or sold through a New Zealand sale. That means that gives the local industry just enormous confidence.
It's a race for 3-year-old horses only, and it's a slot race where each of the 14 entry slots have different owners. They were auctioned off last year for megabucks, with ownership lasting 3 years. One of those slot holders is Cambridge stud owner Brendan Lindsay.
As a slot holder, if we don't win the race this year or whatever, we can look forward to next year and the year after. So when we're at the sales or breeding a horse, we're now thinking about what are we going to buy for the slot, or what would make that race.
He hasn't announced which horse will race in his slot this year. Only half of the slot holders have so far. The concept is used at Australia's The Everest race, which has prize money of 20 million Aussie dollars.
How do we replicate that in New Zealand and get something that cuts through to the mainstream that a non-racing fan might engage in?
More hype, more interest, more punters, more betting, responsibly of course, which means more profits and a more resilient industry.
I believe it's going to be firmly entrenched on the New Zealand racing calendar, and it'll be one of the hottest tickets around in town.
Paul Wilcox is the boss of Ellerslie Racecourse, where the NZB Kiwi will run.
How much of an epic day is it going to be for punters here?
I think we don't actually understand how good it's actually going to be.
We just want the roof to be lifted off at Ellerslie on the 8th of March.
It's just been through a major overhaul, including a $55 million track replacement.
It's got all the ingredients, like any sport, to be something extremely competitive on a global stage that brings them all back to New Zealand.
And bringing some big bucks if they back the right horse.